Ciao, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. I'm Joe Pratt. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed Congress today in order to get more support for Israel in its war against Hamas. In his speech to Congress, Netanyahu vowed Israel will win this war with a total victory. Only about half of Congress attended the speech, the non-attenders mostly absent due to protesting Israel. Alabama is holding public hearings to better understand prison conditions in Alabama. Inmates and families are describing assaults, extortions, rapes, and rampant drug availability in the prisons of Alabama. There were 325 deaths last year. Some of the stories coming out of these hearings are horrifying. Hopefully, this will lead to change in the system. A report from a periodical called The Independent says that half of all adults in the UK don't read regularly. That number is different in the US. 74% said that they have read at least one book in the last year here in the US. But time spent reading is only about 15 to 20 minutes a day in the US. 2 deaths and 74 cases of illness have potentially been linked to microdosing mushroom-infused edibles. The FDA has sent out a warning about Diamond Shrums brand chocolate bars and Microdose brand and Megadose extreme gummies. Several of their products were recalled on June 28th. Profit Premium Blends is the parent company of several of these brands. 97 runners are competing in what is called the world's toughest foot race. It's called the Badwater 135. This is an ultra-marathon race that starts in Death Valley, California, and goes 135 miles into the desert, ends up on the top of Mount Whitney, the highest peak in the lower 48. Over 14,000 feet in elevation gain. This is an invitational event where the competitors are invited by the race organizers and they choose people that they think are most likely to finish. To even compete, you have to have finished 4 ultra-marathon 100-mile races over the last 3 years. The finishing rate is 82% on average. 21 nations and 26 U.S. states are represented in the race of 97 runners. In sports, Utah will once again host the Winter Olympics. The IOC voted to award the 2034 Winter Olympic Games to Salt Lake City, Utah. This will be the second time for Utah, the first being in 2002, if you remember. 79% of Utahns favor having the games in their state for the second time. And in a related story, we haven't had the opening ceremony yet, but the Olympic Games have started. Soccer had to get started early in order to get all the games in. In men's soccer, Morocco shocked everyone by beating Argentina 2-1. The match was suspended for nearly 2 hours because of fan protests, but Morocco held on for the win. Happy birthday if it's yours today. You share a birthday with John Newton, the guy that wrote the hymn Amazing Grace, Simone Bolivar, Alexander Dumas, Amelia Earhart, Bob Lilly, NFL Hall of Famer, Michael Richards, who was Kramer on Seinfeld, Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, Carl Malone, Barry Bonds, Christian Chenoweth, Rose Byrne, and Jennifer Lopez. In music, the top songs of the week are these. Number 5, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. 4 is Million Dollar Baby by Tony Richmond. 3 is I Had Some Help by Post Malone, featuring Morgan Wallen. 2 is A Bar Song by Shabuzi. And number 1 is Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. On Spotify, though, the top 5 hits this month is Gangnam Style by PSY. 4 is Hotel California by the Eagles. 3 is Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars. 2 is See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth. And number 1 is Beautiful Things by Benson Boone. Today's quote from the sacred works of the world's religions comes from the Book of Mormon, Alma 5:14 and 15. And now, behold, I ask of you, my brethren of the church, have ye spiritually been born of God? Have ye received his image in your countenances? Have ye experienced this mighty change in your hearts? The first week in July, Scott Hearn went hiking in Kentucky's Red River Gorge area. Shortly thereafter, though, he was reported missing and the search began. Search and rescue scoured the area for 14 days, and they began to think it was going to be a recovery operation and not a rescue. In other words, almost no one survives that long in the wilderness and is found alive. But on the 14th day, they found Scott, very weak but conscious. He had been without food and water for 12 days. He is recovering nicely in the hospital and will go home shortly. A yard sale sign was posted at the end of the road with an arrow pointing towards the sale, and it read, Yard sale. Our crap could be your crap. Joe Pratt. Make it a great day.